Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Harrison Talks Pod, episode 40. Today we are deep diving into two major stories in the Western Conference. First, we have to look, unfortunately, at the Dallas Mavericks, the confusion, the front office uncertainty, and why this might be the moment to move on from Nico Harrison. It is, it really is. Then we shift to the opposite end of the spectrum, some yin and yang today. The surging and San Antonio Spurs, why their system already works, and how the Aaron Fox's return raises their ceiling even higher. Two franchises, two completely different directions, so let's get into it. And Harrison Talks Pod is a part of Sidepanel Network. Sidepanel Network, we have Nintendo Therapy Pod that went out on Saturday, weekly episodes. Harrison Plays Games, my YouTube channel. I've been uploading daily recently, but expect daily or weekly uploads there. Check that out if you like some car games or other games that I play on there. But that is my promo for today. Let's get to talking about the San Antonio Spurs. Okay, I said at the top we're talking about the Spurs, but no, we're talking about the Mavericks first. Because we can't end with the bad. We have to end with the good. Let's get the bad out of the way first. So the Dallas Mavericks have had a very rough start to their season. Only two wins so far. Oh no, sorry. They're 3-7. They won last night. And they are 1-4 on the week. So they are 1-4 since the last time I recorded on here. Pretty sure their biggest concern or the biggest problem right now is not having a true point guard. And it's good that they do have a fantastic point guard that tore his ACL. So if Kyrie Irving was out there, I'm sure they win a couple more games. But there's also uh, frustrations and problems on the interior, on their defense, that Kyrie Irving isn't going to fix just by himself. He's going to help the offense. He's going to help anchor the offense, which they also need. So let's get into it. They won last night, but they were 1-4 on the week. Played a lot of games in the past week too. They lost last Monday to the or last Sunday to the Pistons, 122 to 110. Uh, there were 24 points Detroit made off turnovers, 64 points in the paint for Detroit. Uh, Detroit's assist percentage was at 64%. So Detroit's ball security has been great so far this season. They are 7-2. They are top of the East right now. So they've been a very fun team to watch. Give all credit to the Pistons on this game. And Dallas got dominated in the paint. They lost to the Rockets a couple days later. They were out rebounded 54 to 40, and the offensive rebounds they allowed uh, gave up 15 points on those extra offensive rebounds. Dallas shot 9 for 36 from three in this game, which has been very common, and we'll get into that. PJ Washington had a good game in this game. So we haven't seen role players have games where they step up. So there are positives there. Like we saw Najee Marshall have a great game last game. D'Lo and Clay were 3 of 16 from 3-point range. So they're shooting, they're spacing, they're rebounding, all just not good. They lost to the Pelicans. They lost to the Pelicans in a game that they really should have won. Dallas allowed 70 points in the paint, which is their season high so far. Lost the rebound advantage 56 to 44. Flagg had a great game, 20 points and 9 rebounds. It was his first time leading the team in points and missed the game winner. Trey Murphy the third grabbed the rebound at the end to close it out. Pelicans are looking rough. discussed them a little bit, and that they went away with the win. They lost to the Grizzlies. They were losing by 23 points at halftime. Memphis out assisted them 35-19. John Morant finally had a good bounce back game with 23 points and 13 assists. So a superstar who looks like he's on his way out. Talked about him last week. Uh, even he is playing well against the Mavericks. So everyone is. And then last night they won against the Wizards, and I watched the second half of the game. They were losing up until about the halfway point of the fourth quarter, even past that. And even though there were some nice highlights and Najee Marshall had a great game, like him very much, it was a really tough game to watch. It's not like the Wizards are good. They are like a well, they're not a good team, but they're like a bad good team. Like I think the bad teams in the East, I think our bad teams this year are not like the bad teams of like 10, 20 years ago. Leave me a comment if you disagree, um, because I might be just biased on that. Mentioned Najee Marshall. Najee Marshall had 30 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Brandon Williams had a nice game. He was plus 41 in net rating when he was on the floor, but they did get dominated in the paint, 66-44. And it seems like um, it seems like every team has the same game plan of trying to dominate the Dallas Mavericks in the interior. So it is kind of tough to think about what this team would do at full strength. I think they might need some more depth, and it all goes back to that Luka Doncic trade. He was injured at the time, and you traded for Anthony Davis, someone who has had availability issues for forever, for most of his career, right? But they did win. They did find effort. They did not win with talent. They certainly won with effort in this game. So, with that, let's talk about the overall reason why the Mavericks are looking broken right now. They are bottom third in offensive rating at 103.7. Are they last? They might be last now. 103.7 is just really, really low for modern NBA. Defensive rating is 109.9, which is also in the bottom 10 of the league. Their net rating is -6, which is bottom 10. Uh, look at their play style, isolation plays. If you're thinking about players like maybe D'Angelo Russell or whoever else, and not having Luka Doncic on your team, they're at a .68 points per possession on isolation plays, which means they are dead last in the league for isolation plays. I didn't look up what it was the previous years, but I would assume with Luka Doncic, there would be a lot of isolations. There would be a high percentage of this, but also your points per possession would not be .68. Pick and roll ball handlers, not much better. You're in your you're in the bottom 7th percentile, so you're in the bottom 3 in pick and roll ball handler at .72 points per possession. You're in the bottom 3 with spot up and roll man at .94. You're in the bottom 10 in the league in transition points per possession. So there's no real great shot creation on this team. I shouldn't say none, but there is very, very little efficient shot creation on this team. And their having difficulty getting established in their half court, finding their half court identity. So with that, and I should also say too, Kyrie Irving, of course, it's going to help the play styles of this game. That's more on the half court, more on the offensive end. Their shooting has been just absolutely horrible. And where are the adjustments there? Because you're struggling on the interior, but if you're shooting 29% of wide open threes, at what point do you adjust and focus more on your interior offense and defense? 29% for wide open threes, 31% for catch and shoot. So it's almost the same. If you combine Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, and D'Angelo Russell, they are attempting 34 threes per game, and they are shooting it at 27%. 34 attempts. This team is not going to win with you shooting like that. And there's a pretty big gap between 27% on 34 attempts and 40%, like a place where you should be at. So not only are they not shooting well when they are wide open, they are shooting at a pretty high volume as well. So the adjustments have not been there this season. And if you look at your depth, I kind of understand. I kind of understand why you're leaning more towards your outside game. And if you had that anchor, I guess the efficiency numbers would go up. Concerned, just concerned. 74% of their rebounds are uncontested. It's low effort, it's low physicality. It's some players on Mavericks looking around, thinking about maybe the end of the season already. Um, it's just not the effort you would normally see in October and November. Opponents are averaging 55.6 points in the paint per game. There's just no rim deterrence at all. AD has been missing. Um, when AD and Lively aren't out there, they're just getting dominated in the paint on both ends. And of course, all eyes are on Cooper Flagg. We expected Cooper Flagg to be one of the top prospects of the last few decades, and very unique in a sense where he would go to a team that should compete for a playoff spot. Now, who knows? I don't know their intentions. And that's the last part of the segment, talking about what they even want to do with this team. It's a mystery. In Flagg's first 10 games, he's averaged 13.9 points, 6.6 rebounds, 3 assists. He is shooting 40% from the field and 27% from 3. His net ratings in a negative at negative 12. Of course, but he's shown flashes. It just might not be his time and his development just yet, and he's getting no help around him. So he's had times where it's expected him to be the lead creator, and it's just not. He's just not ready for it, and doesn't have a team around him for it. There's some great flashes in transition, but the lack of half court structure has hurt his development so far. And yeah, just the play calling, the playmaking for him hasn't been there. So it's hard to watch him try to create his own offense when the offense around him is just so unclear. So he should not be in the primary role just yet. He should be in more movement sets. And I mentioned the isolation numbers. Dallas should be playing a lot more in motion offense just in general. Pair him with Max Christie and Derek Lively, pair him with a more solid front court, and don't tinker with your veterans too much. Focus on your young players, build around your development, and maybe this is not your year. A lot of negatives. So let's move ahead because I want to keep things in order. Because my next section of this is Nico Harrison just needs to go. And that's nothing new. They've been chanting Fire Nico since February. And it worries me that this new ownership, the majority ownership, I'm not sure if one, they even understand, but also if what their intention is. Do they want to be a playoff championship team? Do they just want to build casinos? I really don't know. I just don't understand any of this. And I doubt that you understand all of it. They built a roster. They have shooters, but they can't shoot. They have defenders, but they can't defend. They have playmakers, but some of them are injured, and the other ones they can't make plays right now. They can't shoot the three. There's no rim protection, and this is all coming at a time where you traded Luka Doncic to improve your defense, and Luka Doncic has been dominating for the Lakers. So that just makes everything worse, right? I mean, the players are looking defeated. I mean, even before the tip off, they're looking defeated. The fan base has gone from anger to apathy. Just the media has completely turned on this front office, but are they motivated to make changes? Was the Luka Doncic trade the majority Nico Harrison's fault? It was, I think, his idea. It was backed up by the ownership. Why? There's a lot of unanswered questions there. So, Mir and Allison, Patrick Dumont, I don't know their focus. I their urgency is very unclear. Mark Cuban is still around, but the accountability of this team is very blurred. So, in a way, you could think that Nico Harrison could have already been fired. But he should now. I think that would create more confidence in your franchise and definitely in your fan base. I just don't know if that is a connection that Nico Harrison has with this team, with this franchise, and with this new ownership team. But yes, if it was up to me, he'd be gone a long time ago. None of this would ever happen. Get rid of him. Get a development GM. Think OKC. Think the Orlando Magic. Build around Cooper Flagg. Build around some younger players. Try to roll with Derek Lively. Don't try to trade for everyone. You got some good players. And then focus on health. Get Kyrie back. He'll help the development. Try to see where AD is at with his health. See if he can be available. Don't focus on trades just yet. Focus on that development. So, let's move ahead, and now we can talk about some positives with the San Antonio Spurs. Okay, so I knew I needed to talk about the Mavericks and what was going on there. But then I knew I needed something positive to end this episode with. So let's go in real depth about the success of the San Antonio Spurs and why this team has been so fun to watch so far, and how De'Aaron Fox, who came back yesterday, how he is going to amplify the potential of this team even more. So the Spurs are 7-2, and they are undefeated at home. They are plus 7 0.3 in their net rating. Their offensive rating is at 118, which is seventh in the league currently. Their assist ratio is at 70%. So they are playing a really nice San Antonio Spurs style of team basketball. So it's nice to see a team that is led by a young star and has so many young players play nice system basketball. Wow, it's so much different than the Mavericks, right? Two different Texas teams. They had great ball movement. Their offensive rebounding with Wemby, of course, is looking great. And they're just more assertive, I think, than the past couple of years. They're just making a lot quicker decisions. And it has to be continuity. It has to be players that are getting older, but also players that have played with um, their teammates for multiple seasons now. And it's just been super exciting to watch. I talked about the play style for the Mavericks. I want to do the same for the Spurs because they are in the top three for multiple play styles. When they are in the pick and roll with the roll man creating the shot, they are at a 1.39 points per possession, and that is top three in the league. But they're also top three in the league in dribble hands-offs, cuts, and they are top 10 in transition points. So we got lob threats. We got the 5-1 connection, 51, whatever they call it. Um, they're moving in pace. They're very fast, and they're just creating a lot of chaos for that other team. They're establishing their half court very well, but they're also playing very well in transition, which is something you should expect from a young team that is winning a lot. Wimby, yeah, he's been great. He attempted. I watched the whole game yesterday. He attempted, I think, 8 threes, and that's the one part because he's been lower on his attempts so far this year, and 8 was a season high for him. I don't get it. Like th- they had put the game away, not completely, but it's just always going back to this 3-point shot. And honestly, I wish Wimby would shoot, I would say like one a quarter at the most, like four a game. And I wish he would focus on that because it's just so. I think if you look at the efficiency numbers, I just don't get it. And of course, and simply enough, he's like 7'7". So You know, a lot of us learned basketball, learned that you always take the most efficient shot. If you can get a dunk every time or a layup every time, that's the shot that we want you to take. So I know he's not a traditional five. I know he views himself as a power forward, and perhaps he wants to do the whole Kevin Durant thing, but just take it more on the interior sometimes. That's where it's going to dominate more. I don't mind the threes because he can shoot that thing. Um, but sometimes he can't, and sometimes it's not falling. So when it's not falling, even if you put the game away, focus on your interior more. Get in there, right? Or focus on your mid range. Do something else. That's it. That's my only rant for Wimby. But other than that, um, amazing to watch. One of the most fun players already to watch in the league, and just is doing at least one thing every game where you're going, what? Like that doesn't make sense at all. So they won the last two games. Um, they are 7-2, and they actually had lost the two games before that. So they started the season undefeated. On uh, November 7th, right? So not the last game, but the game before that, where they played the Rockets, they won 121 to 110. Uh, they uh, they were plus 15 in offensive rebounds. They were plus 33 in second chance points, and they made 18 threes on the season, on the year, which is a season high. Sorry, they made 18 points. They made 18 threes this game, which is a season high. There we go. Cut that part out. Multiple players stepping up, which is what we're seeing with this team. Harrison Barnes, 24 points. Champagny, 22 points, including 6 threes. Wow. Steph Castle with 14 points and 13 assists. Wemby had 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. So they dominated in threes. They dominated on the offensive boards. I guess, this is the game before that. I guess after 18 made threes, they were really trying to shoot the three ball in the game after that, where they won against the Pelicans 126 to 119. And this is De'Aaron Fox's return. So all of this before De'Aaron Fox comes back. He had 24 points, 9 of 14 from the field, and he had 13 straight in the second quarter. So just all this excitement, doing well before Fox, and now you get a great player next to Wemby that can create his own shot. Team had 31 assists, 62 points in the paint, despite their 3-point shots not going in. 8 players in double figures had 14 assists. I'm sorry, Steph Castle had 14 assists to only 2 turnovers. And with De'Aaron Fox, Castle looks solid on the defensive end for sure. Uh, Pelicans shot 2 of 9 for contested threes. Wemby had 18 points, 18 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And De'Aaron Fox just completely helped accelerate this game. Spurs, without maybe the most traditional point guard, have been dominant. So just adding him to the system is going to be great. They gain a pick and roll initiator. They gain someone who can get you buckets down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Someone that's going to help you control the tempo even more. So that's great. When Wemby is a roll man, the Spurs are averaging 1.39 points per possession, which is exactly at their team average, and that would be highest in the league. When you add Fox to all of that, it could become an unguardable duo. So this is all, again, this is mostly all before De'Aaron Fox, just the one game where he came back. I gave them crap about the 3-pointers, but they are shooting 44% of their shots at the rim. You love to see it. They're shooting 36% of their shots from 3, 6.3% from mid-range. That could be an opportunity also to shoot less threes and try to get more into the interior. 58% of their shots come within the first 2 seconds of a player touching the ball. They are very, very heavy in their catch and shoot so far. And as I said, the assertiveness, not over dribbling, not trying to take extra time on the shot clock to make decisions. This team system is looking like a Spurs system so far. They're averaging 11.9 offensive rebounds per game. They have 20.3 points off turnovers per game, which is and then their offensive rebounds are resulting in 19.4 second chance points per game, one of the highest in the league. Playing with a lot of effort, and their efficiency is just looking great overall. Wembanyama is at 24.3 points per game, 12.9 rebounds, and 3.8 blocks. Higher blocks, same as last year, higher blocks per game than some teams overall. Um, and um, teams are trying to get him to force jumpers. I think the last game he was trying to chuck it up too much, as I said, but the Spurs are doing a lot to try and counter that. They're using him as a roll man. They're using him on the short roll, on the triple handoffs. So uh, inside and out, they're trying to use Wembenyama, and teams don't know what to do. They just don't know what to do with him. Steph Castle, who I love, rookie of the year, has been looking great. 18.2 points per game, 7.4 assists, 5.8 rebounds. His assist rate is at 35%. So he's just been helping the Spurs so much in their half court. If you combine Harrison Barnes and Champagne's numbers, they are shooting 50% from three. They have unlocked a lot of spacing for Wembanyama and this team. Keldon Johnson, off the bench, has had the team best offensive rebound rate for this team. I found that to be very interesting, and he's been a great, just going into that veteran status, that emotional leader that the Spurs need and they lean on. So it's great to see Keldon Johnson still on this team. So they're at the top of the West. They are at the top of the best conference. So how do they stay at the top of the West? They have to just remain consistent. Their key identity right now is ball movement, trying to get 30 plus assists per game. Their identity is offensive rebounds, getting more than 10 per game, and having the advantage in the paint scoring. So they've had it so far. If their shooting starts connecting more, if the two-man game of De'Aaron Fox and Wemby starts connecting now that De'Aaron Fox is back, I don't see this team getting out of the top of the West, but the West is super competitive. So perhaps this is a top four team and just a team that we have seen incrementally get better and better. They would have been in the playoffs last year if Wembanyama didn't have his deep vein thrombosis. Hopefully everything's fine there. So it's just a team that's improved over time. How else can they improve? Wembanyama can eliminate bad threes. Castle can continue his reps in the pick and roll. De'Aaron Fox will create those shots late in the game when the Spurs need him the most. They do not need a blockbuster trade, but if they are looking at something at the trade deadline so far, I would say they could use one more shooter. But this team might be a team that just rolls with their core. They have a great mix of young talent, a young superstar, and veterans that are stepping up and being great role players. So, very fun brand of basketball to watch. Just young, fast, very team-oriented basketball, and it's very yin and yang from my first segment, the Dallas Mavericks. So let's see how they do. Let's leave it there. If you've enjoyed it, if you've made it here, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. If you're on Spotify or wherever you can leave a comment, leave a comment. All of those things help grow this channel. I'll be back next week for some more NBA talk. I hope you have a great NBA week, and I'll see you next time.